when we dive in, it's so hard to fit. I mean, these 10 areas of life, it's so hard to fit everything into an
Yeah,
hour-long conversation. So I feel like all of our podcasts need this disclaimer of there's so many other things that we could cover. And the one that came to mind that we didn't really touch on is a lot of times when we teach these in class, we separate out sexuality and sensuality. And
mm,
that's something that I really love because when we look at those two areas of life, we have sexuality, which is obviously our relationship with sex, whether that's solo or with a partner. But then we have sensuality, and sensuality can be and should be part of our sexuality, but sexuality does not have to be part of sensuality. Sensuality is our ability to use our five physical senses for pleasure in this lifetime. And I love having this conversation because we all get to see what our relationship is with the word pleasure. Because I think a lot of times it's this immediate whoop feeling that we get when that word comes up. But what I like to shine light on in this conversation is the fact that we are here in a physical body to experience the physical world. And we have been given these five senses as a way of interacting with this physical world around us. And so anytime that we are, one of my favorite things to do when I'm in like a home goods store is when they have those really soft blankets that you have to touch it and feel how soft it is, right? Those moments where you feel this really soft fabric, or you're drinking a really fantastic cup of coffee, or you're getting a hug from your favorite person. These physical experiences, when we see a beautiful sunset or we smell a flower or whatever it is, these physical experiences that we do not get to have when we're in spirit form. And this is, a little side tangent. This is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. I've been having a lot of awareness of how temporary our lifetimes are, right? And this idea that at the end of it, we transition on and we leave this physical body. And so, what's the point? What's the purpose of having this physical shell? And that's one of them, is that this is the only time when we are able to interact with the physical world in a tangible way, in a way that we can sense. Because when we're energy, there is no separation. There's no me and then the blanket. It is all just energy. And so the ability to engage with our five physical senses and connect with the world around us, it's a gift and it's a blessing that we only get to experience in this lifetime. And so, so many people, I think, have a lot of imbalance when it comes to their sensuality because we immediately think that it has to be tied to our sexuality or to pleasure and therefore it's a bad thing. But when we separate them out, it's really looking at no, our sensuality is our ability to engage with the world in a positive, enjoyed way. And that is something that that experience is only here for us as human beings. And so how can we connect with using our five physical senses in a way that is positive? So often we fight ourselves. We fight our physical instincts. We fight the fact that we have a body. We feel like we need to escape and move out, right? And it's this feeling of trying to leave our body behind, trying to escape, feeling like being human isn't the right thing. But when we can ease into ourselves, when we can bring ourselves back into our physical body and understand that our physical senses aren't a burden, they're a gift, that our physical body isn't something wrong with us. It's, again, a gift. It's a blessing to be able to walk this earth, and that our sensuality is almost like our way of giving back to nature, giving back to the divine for this experience of the fact that, it's like I always use this example with our students. It's like if you give a kid a cookie, right? And you've spent all day making them this cookie and you give them the cookie and they're like, "But I kinda wanted a brownie instead. I didn't really want a cookie." And you're like, "But I spent all day and I was so excited to see you enjoy this cookie." And sometimes I wonder if it's the same thing in our energy of we have this what can be an incredible physical experience. And so often we turn away from it because we think that it's better to be out of our body. But it's like if it was better to be out of our body, if it was better to just transcend, we wouldn't have come in the first place. We wouldn't have put on this human suit in the first place. And so therefore, it's part of that give and take, that balance and receiving to enjoy this physical experience, to experience this physical experience. And I think sometimes that's why so many of us wander around feeling so imbalanced, because we're trying to escape our physical body. We're trying to get out of this experience that our soul wants us to have, that the earth wants us to have. And so when we can step into a space where sensuality isn't a taboo, but it is an understanding that this is how we interact with the physical world, this is how we honor our physical experience, then it becomes this beautiful cycle of bringing in that gratitude of, thank you for that sunset. Thank you for the flower. Thank you for how soft my cat is, or for this wonderful hug that I get, or whatever it is. Thank you for this experience. And so I do sometimes wish that we could separate that pie out all the time, because it's an awareness that I don't think a lot of people have, of that separation between sensuality and sexuality, and why it's so important.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, we deny ourselves a lot. And yes, in sexuality and sensuality, but really we deny ourselves just pleasure, like all the way around. And so as you were talking, I was thinking about, like, if every day we made the effort of connecting to our five senses, finding the one thing to go smell and really like being in the moment of that scent. What does it physically feel like to smell that, to eat something and really savor the flavors of it and what it means to chew and to swallow and everything. And then to see something, to really look at something, and how it's defined and the light that comes through it, something that we need to touch and feel. So if we really tuned into all five senses, that is going to activate us physically. And then every day it will become kind of not like a game, but it's like a search and hunt. Like, I'm going to go out and find something today that I really want to scent. I want to smell that. I want to see that. And then, you start tuning into that side of yourself that isn't so rigid. Because I think in life, we become so rigid because if all we're doing is go, 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 and we're never pleasuring the senses of our physical body, then we are just that. We're just like robots moving through life. And that isn't what we're here for. And like you said, if we weren't meant to do and be here, we wouldn't be here. And that's such an important thing to remember, is that we have purpose here. Whatever that purpose is, that's individual for everyone to figure out for themselves, but we all can enjoy what has to offer us, at whatever level we're at, right? We can all step outside. We can all walk barefoot on the grass. Or the dirt or whatever. We can all look up into the sky and cloud gaze and see the different shapes that it creates. We can all connect to the four elements with wind, water, earth, and fire. So we collectively all have access to these things that can really tune us up, that can really activate us, that can get our minds thinking different, our emotions thinking differently. And when we can connect to the elements, so to speak, like with water, we can be in flow, right? Connecting with fire, we can ignite our passion. Being connected to earth, we can ground our thoughts and our emotions and our energy. And when we connect to air, we can let things just fly, like blow on by. But we don't. We want to hold on to everything. We want to restrict everything, and we want to live in this constricted way of life. And that's not the way to live. At least I don't see it like that. So I feel that this is an invitation to be more expansive, to go out there and to see the different things and feel it and everything, because I think that that will bring in a different element of life altogether. And so thinking about this pie chart and thinking about all the areas of our life and how can we improve just one area, and then see how that expands into all the different areas of your life, because it really is all just um, energy, and it's our perspective of it. And so when we can create the perspective and the life that we want, even if it's just in the moment, that's enough, like we're all going through our stuff. There's grief, there's sadness, there's turmoil, there's all this stuff. But if we can find just a moment in our day in the middle of all of that, and find happiness and find joy and find a smile on our face, a laughter, that can shift everything. That can shift everything.
It really can, and that's, that exercise of connecting with our physical senses, it's actually something that they use a lot in, treating post traumatic stress disorder. There's this technique called the 5 4 3 2 1 technique that they use a lot for this. And it's this ability to just sit in the moment and look for five things that you can see, four things that you can hear, three things that you can, no, five things that you can see, four things that you can feel, three things that you can hear, two things you can smell, and one thing you can taste. And the ability to sit in that moment is so powerful. I think a lot of people who listen to the podcast know my story and know that I have continuing PTSD that I'm working through and healing through and all of the things, but occasionally it does come up. And I ended up having a flashback this weekend, and the ability to sit and have my partner, right? We talked about the importance of open communication, have my partner sit there and go, "What are five things that you can see? Four things that you can feel?" It brings you back into the present moment. And so whether you are somebody that struggles with panic attacks or PTSD or those more aggravated moments where we do kind of leave our body, or you're somebody who just is ready to come back and fully experience life, because again, so many people are feeling the need to do that. So many people are feeling disconnected from life and unrooted. And so when we can bring ourselves back into this present physical moment of what is happening right in front of us and using our physical senses, it helps bring us back into our body. And it's only when we're in that embodied present state that we can truly make those decisions that are aligned with who we are, that we can really make those shifts in our energy, because otherwise we're trying to do it from a disconnected place. And it's always less powerful and less transformative than if we allow ourselves to come into the present moment and be fully embodied before we step into a space of making decisions. Because, we talked about this with personal development, of that ability to know who you are and know what you value and know where you're coming from and what choices you should make in alignment with those values. You can't know those things unless you are fully embodied, unless you are connected to yourself. And so that ability to use your five physical senses to bring you back is an incredibly powerful grounding technique, as is just simply stating the facts of what's happening around you. Because so often we start to tell ourselves these stories, right? Those limiting beliefs get triggered and they pull us down this path of, well, this must mean this, and what if this happens, and ba 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 ba. And we start to get caught up in these stories. And if we can just take a moment and say, what are the facts of what's happening? What's truly happening right in front of me? So right now, for Chantel and I, that would be, I'm sitting on my couch or in my office chair talking with my coworker about the 10 primary areas of life. That's it. Those are the facts of life. Or if you're on a road trip, I am driving in the car, passing exit 285 on the interstate. Just the facts of what's happening right in front of you, because it takes all of those thoughts and anxieties and worries and emotions and everything subjective out of it, and it brings you back to, this is what's happening in the moment. And so often it's something that simple that can help us remember, right now in this physical moment, I'm okay. And we started this conversation talking about finances, and this is a really great tool with finances as well, of asking yourself, right now in this moment, do I have enough? Because so often our worries about finances are in the future. Am I going to run out of money? Will I have enough for this? Will I have enough for retirement? Do I have enough in savings? But bringing it back to, right now, do I have enough in this moment? It's just enough space to open up that energy so that you can bring yourself back into alignment, so that you can step into the present moment and then make those choices to expand your energy and bring balance to that area of life.